Welcome back to the channel, guys. Thank you for tuning in. Please smash the like button, hit that subscribe button, tune in for this next video. Today I'm going to be showing you guys how I made a keel guard for the Sun Dolphin. Right there, it's a keel guard that I made out of Schedule 80 PVC. Got one on the front and the back, molded it to shape, and then painted it to fit. You guys said you wanted to see more videos like that, or some videos like that, so that's what I'm going to do today. I'm going to go over some of the tools that you're going to probably need and explain some of the reasons why some of the things I have are already set up the way they are. I've got some of my pieces of PVC here. It originally comes, I believe this is a 4-inch PVC sewer pipe. It is Schedule 80, I believe, determined, which just means the thickness. It's a thinner grade of PVC than your normal PVC, which makes it a little more pliable for what I need it for. I already have pieces cut into 9.5-inch pieces. There's 4 of them here. I cut them into 9.5-inch pieces because I need them to fit into this little oven here. I'll stick them in there. They'll get warm. Once they're warm, they'll be malleable. Once they're nice and hot and malleable, I will use these gloves to take it out and then place it on the kayak and mold it. I cut it with a hacksaw. I also used a box knife. You'll need a rag eventually. I got a tube for silicone with caulking. Got some double-sided mounting tape. I've got my blowtorch. I've got a heat gun over here. I've got a sander, a fresh sanding pad in case I needed it. Some dikes I might need, who knows. This is my plastic welding iron. I'm not going to probably be doing any plastic welding today, but I did want to show you that in case we do end up using it. That's more for patching holes and such. So yeah, I'm going to take a quick break, kind of line some stuff up, get set up, and we'll get back on it. So like I said, I cut these pieces to a specific length on purpose so that they would fit in here. So I'm going to let this sit in here, turn it on, it doesn't really matter the temperature, have my gloves ready, get these pieces on here and start molding them to where I want them. And like I said, what we're basically going to do is once it starts to heat up, it'll get very, very soft, and we'll lay it on top of this area here so we can protect it. You can see all the rubbing area, all the rubbing and digging in from the banks and the launch ramps and whatnot. And then before I actually put this keel guard down and stick it down, I'm gonna sand this, possibly heat gun it a little bit just to help melt all this, make it a smoother surface, and then we'll apply our double-sided mounting tape. I like a different mounting tape, but I couldn't find any of it, so we'll see if this Gorilla tape works. If it doesn't, I'll keep you updated. And the other stuff is that 3M Scotch outdoor mounting tape, and it works really well. I also grabbed a pair of scissors because once this stuff is malleable, you can pretty much just cut it with scissors, so you can shape it a little easier. Like, see how that piece started to lay flat? That means it's getting hot enough to do what we need it to do. So we'll go ahead and pull that before it starts to melt. See how that PVC is now just a malleable piece of PVC. See, we have an idea of what we're gonna want. So I'm gonna want to cut these corners a little bit, cut this into the shape that I want. I'm gonna just round this out. See how easy it cuts as well. And then we can always remold it. We can always put it back in, and once it starts to get hard, it starts to get hard. And then look at that, it starts to get hard, and now it's already holding that shape. So we'll put another piece in. See, I'm pretty sure I want this piece down here just because I like the depth of it. I can use this other shallow piece over here. So I like these shallower pieces on this end just because of where it sits. This side, I can use these deeper pieces. Throw that in there. I mean, you can see I mean, yes, it's flexible, but it's hard. The oven itself probably cost me like 15 or 20 bucks at Walmart. It's probably the most expensive thing I had to buy. The rest of it I pretty much had laying around, and the mounting tape's a little expensive. And there it goes, starting to lay flat. See, it doesn't take too long, maybe a minute or so. And that's one of the reasons why these cuts kind of rough, because you can easily cut them once it's softer. So I'm gonna cut this piece off here just so I can make that. All right guys, so I've got all the pieces in order that I want them in. This is where I catch all the lunkers. So I've got all the pieces where I want them. Shaped all of these ones to fit the keel. Then I got this side. Fitted this one around the corner. Folded it down. It's gonna get heated up and pressed more solid. And then this one here. So now what I'm gonna do is go through with the heat gun, kind of make exactly what I want, where I want it. Like this particular area right here, I want this area, the middle section here, to get warmed up, just the middle section, so I can bend it a little bit so it fits on here instead of wonky like that, where it bends in the middle. So we'll get the heat gun going, get some heat on that. Like I said, you're definitely gonna want some gloves. This stuff gets freaking hot. If you get it too hot, it'll start to burn it. I got the heat gun at Harbor Freight for like 10 bucks. When you set the heat gun down, set it down somewhere and on something that's not gonna burn. I set it down usually with the tip hanging off. And then we're gonna see this now, the middle is malleable, so we can stretch that a little bit to fit. Some of this is just gonna be pretty much holding and pressing, holding and pressing. I want that piece to go all the way down. And once we get that nice and secure, then we'll heat up this side and press that section down as well. So now we'll heat up this section here. So now that fits right on there pretty well. That fits there, that fits there. So now that I've got it nice and hot again, I'm gonna press it on there super tight. All right guys, next thing I'm gonna do, I'm gonna go through with the blowtorch. So as I mentioned earlier with the torch and getting it way too hot, I went ahead and did that anyway, which is all right, because now I can show you guys a little bit of plastic welding. So I put a good old hole in there. You guys can see it's a nice size hole. It's hot and malleable right now. And I'm gonna let that cool off, and then we'll patch that up, and I'll show you guys how to do that. When I'm doing this, what I'm doing right now is all I'm doing is basically trying to melt all these little imperfections. And so most kayaks are made of the same thing as most buckets here. HDPE, high density polyethylene is what HDPE stands for, high density polyethylene. That's the same stuff that your kayaks are made out of, plastic buckets are made out of. So thus you can use a plastic bucket that has the recycling sign that has a 2 in it. This here is my plastic iron, and here's a little piece of plastic bucket. I got some more over there. Once that gets warm, what we'll start to do is we'll just heat up around this hole, get this hole where it's nice and malleable, and then we'll start basically filling it in. Now this is a little bit larger of a hole, but that's the best way to fill in these holes, is to just build it up. It might take a little bit of time, but that's what you want to do, is just build it up. And like I said, this is going to take a little while to get hot, so we'll let that sit there. While I wait for that to get hot, I'm going to sand the front of this. It's what I have the rag for, so I can wipe it down when I'm done. Like I said before, the biggest reason for the sanding is to just take out imperfections. That way when you go to stick your adhesive mounting tape on here, you have a good strong bond. I'm also going to add a little bit of silicone to mine to help keep it watertight. This Gorilla tape, but I don't know how well it's going to perform. Get some water from the hose real quick, but this one's a little bit different, so I'm probably going to paint it on there and try and blend it in. And then I'm just going to wet that, let that dry, see where that iron's at. While this dries, it's definitely getting hot, so we're gonna start heating up the edges, because like I said, you don't want to just stick plastic onto it. You basically want to, kind of like the PVC thing we talked about before, you basically want to weld them together. You want them to become one piece. You want to stick the 2 hot pieces together so they melt together and become one piece of plastic. Like I said, it's kind of time consuming. It takes a little bit of practice to get used to. If you ever want to practice doing this before you take it to your kayak, one of the things you can do is fix the cracks in a bucket. Take the bucket, cut a hole in it, punch a hole in it, take a drill bit, drill some holes in it, whatever you think is going to be the best practice for you, and then either take another bucket and use it to patch those holes. And then you can test whether or not you can make watertight seals with your welding. And then now that I'm going to put a keel guard over this is going to be protected. But basically what I do is I take it, put my iron on it, and slowly pull the piece of plastic away, leaving behind the plastic that I'm trying to weld on. It's almost like gluing this stuff on. And like I said, you're just going to build up this hole. But yeah, you just keep filling it in until eventually you have no hole left. Keep filling it in until you end up with a smooth, cohesive piece. Probably, like the last video, probably should be wearing some sort of protection from the breathing of plastic melting. I'm not. You should. It's kind of my motto. I'm not. You should. I should recommend you to do things better than me. So that's the way I look at life. Enjoy it. Live it. Like I said, most of this is going to be covered up by the keel guard, but I do not want it to have a leak underneath the keel guard that is going to be a surprise, leaking, and we can't find it because it's underneath the keel guard. As you saw, I built that all the way up from that big old hole to where it is now. Whew, gotta be careful not to touch that rod, guys. That rod gets hot. Now, that's a little tutorial on plastic welding. Back to the keel guard. All right, so this mounting tape, probably already understand how it works. Put a piece in, cut it, stick it to this first, and then stick it onto the yak. All right, so now we pull this off. Definitely wants to stick, that's a good thing. There's the first piece, tacked down hard. I mean, this stuff's got some serious mounting power. So hopefully it holds it once it gets wet. So we're gonna go ahead and lay these down on the rest of it. And then what I'm gonna do is I'll put some silicone just around the edges to help keep water out. All right, so anyhow, got it stuck on there. Stuff's on there pretty darn solid. I hit it with the heat gun real quick just to kind of help that adhesion. Double-sided tape, get warm, extra sticky, and then push it down, and then also be able to bend it in a little bit so it grabs really tight. Now I'm gonna go through with some silicone. I'm just gonna go around all the edges, like right through here, right through there, right through there, and just make it where there's no way that water's gonna get in, so it can hopefully help keep that tape sticking tight. All right, guys, so I went through, sealed up all those edges, so we'll let that all dry, set up real good. All right, guys, well, I hit record and was filming, and apparently the freaking camera glitched out, so I was filming nothing while I was painting. I was trying to show you guys what I was doing and explaining that I was just kind of using it and patching certain areas and making it just kind of match the splotchy design of the bottom of this thing. So from afar, it definitely just looks like the bottom of our kayak. Get over here, and there's our other part there. And this will keep everything solid, strong, and watertight, and will protect the keel from dragging up on the rocks, the banks, the boat ramps, all that fun stuff. I got a little carried away with the silicone. As you can see, there's some big old spots, but should be okay. Shouldn't, I mean, we'll have to re-silicone it at some point anyhow. So obviously you can leave it just the PVC color, but I think things look so much better. So I'm painting everything because, like I said, I'm a little bit like that. So there we go, guys. That completes the keel guard PVC completion. All right, guys, well, that wraps up this video. Thank you so much for tuning in. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. We super appreciate all the support. Click subscribe, leave us some comments, and I'll catch up with you guys next time on the water. I hope you have fun with your guys' DIY build. And if you guys need any help, feel free to leave comments. I'll gladly, as soon as I see them, reach out to you and try and help you along your way.